All right, it's episode 20 of the Grenglish podcast. Roll the intro.
I'm Greek Australian. That's why I look like this, but I sound like this.
So it's April. I was really looking forward to April Fools because I had an idea for a Instagram post and brought it to fruition. Basically saying that Napoleon was Greek. Because there's actually a conspiracy saying that Napoleon is Greek. And as a comedian, there's no International Comedians Day. But, April Fools is basically, annual Comedians Day, right? So I made this video, roll the intro. Did you know that Napoleon Bonaparte was Greek? Obviously, I don't believe that. But I love punking people. And this video got 100,000 views, 300 comments. I don't know what it is with TikToks, but TikTok is just violently, just people are fighting in the comments a lot. And I punked a lot of people. Got 60,000 views on TikTok with 500 comments. So that was a major win to punk people on April Fools. It's weird. It's funny, the idea process for videos because some of the videos are literally just, I thought of it out of nowhere. I thought that would be funny. Other ones are suggested, others are news. But like I've always said, this content push that I'm doing is a test. Ultimately, I'm looking to, make money from it because I'm an entrepreneur and that's what I do. And I think, it's just a good idea. I've always said, or someone else said this, and I'm stealing it, but I've always said that, personal brand is the one business you're always going to have no matter what. You can't sell it. Well, you can, but you can't sell, you're always going to have it as an asset. So it doesn't really make sense to not invest in it. And look, I think it's also goes to the type of person you are. I obviously like being on camera. I like entertaining, and I'm outspoken. So personal brand is just one of those things that makes a lot of sense for me. But here's the thing, and I say this a lot with businesses: just because you've achieved some success doesn't mean you should do it or continue it, right? So like, I started doing content, that I found enjoyable, history basically, and business basically in July last year or June last year. And look, we've got millions and millions of views, and that's fantastic. We've built up, a bit of a following, and that's good. And people enjoy and engage with the content. But that doesn't mean you should do it just because you've achieved some success. It will, at a minimum, doesn't mean that it's going to be profitable at any point, right? But look, I thought about that from a business perspective. Sure, that's a really good point. I got to get a microphone, like a proper podcast mic. But at the same time, I'm having a lot of fun doing this content. I think I kind of got sidetracked for a little bit as to why I'm doing it, and I just should get the views, blah, blah, blah. But I really enjoy making history content and, Greek content. So I'm just going to keep doing that. And it's a funny thing, obviously I want success in this, and those KPIs are views, comments, engagements, followers for this platform, for this type of a business. But obviously, some stuff I do that I want to do, that I want to talk about, and I want to engage with other people about, aren't going to get views. So for example, the Emperor series, really fun. But out of 182 videos, maybe 10 got over 50,000 views, probably less, but most got 2,000-3,000. So from a business perspective, not very successful. But from an enjoyment perspective, I love it. It's one, I always look at life as in terms of a portfolio of work. Like a photographer might look like, or an actor might look like. What have you done? Because ultimately that's what matters, besides, enjoying the process, blah, blah, blah. What have you done? It's I like the idea before I did it of like I have made a review of every single Roman emperor, start to finish. Like I like that as a piece of work, you know, even though it's a Malakia, it's not a fucking, you know, 20 episode, 20 season, you know, TV show. It's a portfolio of work, but it's like a nice little, very me type of thing. And anyway, I like that. But yeah, in terms of just an update of how I'm making content and what I'm doing with it, get that. I'm here to have fun. I'm obviously iterating and changing how I'm doing the content. Like this, I'm doing this daily like news thing with EU and Greek news, and that's obviously, you know, doing well from a views perspective. And will it make money at some point? Settle, bro. Thanks, settle. I'm gonna keep doing it because I'm reading the news anyway. So to do a quick review isn't too much work. Yeah. So that's a quick little content update. Let's dive into some of the topics that have been suggested. So this was really cool. I did not know this, but during the start of the modern Greek state, they actually wanted to build a palace on the Acropolis. So the palace that would become the Palace of the King, which is now Parliament House, was actually planned to be built, or a different type of palace for the king was going to be built on the Parthenon. And there were actually sketches for this. There was an architect who like sketched it out, really detailed. Look, really beautiful, but also it would just shit on the Acropolis and Greek history. It would prussify Athens and the Acropolis, which is, you know, was the intent. So King Otto, that would become the first king of the Greek state, of the Greeks, not of the Greek state, because they didn't want to piss off the Ottomans. He visited the Parthenon, and he told the future Prince of Prussia that he wanted to build a palace on the Parthenon, on the Acropolis, sorry. And the future king of Prussia told an architect in Prussia, who never went to the Acropolis, to sketch out about this idea. So he sketched it out, and basically, it would build a palace around the Parthenon. So basically, if you lived in Athens, you couldn't see the Parthenon. You could only see the palace. Funny little story, but like for me, who I'm not a fan of German kings of Greece or royals in general, to be honest, I'll take an emperor, but not a royal. I hated the idea, crazy. I hate the idea that the Greek parliament is even in a royal palace today. That's going to be one of my first acts as Prime Minister. I'm moving the parliament to a new building somewhere else. I don't like the idea of, I mean, it's very like, it's a metaphor for the current state. Like, as much as there is no royal family of Greece, would you not say that the oligarchies of Greece are basically operating as royal families? Anyway, that got really political really fast, but interesting, you know, little story, eh? So let's go to the next topic. What do we have here? Okay, wow, that's pretty cool. So there are ballistic shields that have come from the Ukraine, like that have saved lives, saved soldiers in the Ukraine, that have been painted with Orthodox iconography, which is pretty cool when you think about it. This hasn't really been done since like knights, like the Renaissance, Middle Ages. It's weird how like straight up ballistic shield, like shields, even if it's ballistic shields, have come back, or shields in general have just come back. And you know, of course, you can only make references to ancient Greece with the shields, with the symbols of the city, and then of course Crusades and Roman Empire. So that's pretty crazy that they're painting Orthodox icons onto shields. I mean, it's pretty cool actually. Wow, that's a crazy piece of news. That is nuts. It's so crazy how war evolves so rapidly, but also doesn't change that much. Cool, okay, very interesting. So, let's go to, that's kind of crazy. Let's go to this next one. Greece to build theme park dedicated to Alexander the Great. Now, I've always said that the world considers Greece as an amusement park. I mean, think about it. I mean, I hate the analogy, but isn't it true? Greece's economy, what is it, 17% relies on tourism. And people come here, they treat it like an amusement park, like here for the sights and here for the beaches, and they leave. I mean, and as a economy, there's not much else that's really strong, competitive to the rest of the world. But yeah, here you go. The Alexander theme park will be constructed on an 8-acre site near Amphipoli. Amphipoli was a colony of Athens, if I'm not mistaken. I went there when I walked across the nation. And yeah, so it'll be combining interactive learning with entertainment. Construction is expected to begin in 2026. Investment estimated over $10 million. Now, I'd be interested to see if it's government run. Yeah, so there's a few comments by the government. Foreign investment, blah, blah, blah. Speaking remotely, Konstantinos Dendrinos, CEO of Neshach Real Estate in Saudi Arabia, said the Gulf Kingdom is pivoting towards tourism as it... What? Oh, I think they're making some, corollaries to the Saudi Arabia. But, I mean, look, it's a few things. Obviously, Thessaloniki in the north of Greece, I'm from the south of Greece, so, identifying with Alexander the Great isn't a big deal for me because I'm from Laconia and Kythera, and we were never even conquered by Alexander the Great because, of course, who was it? Philip II sent a letter. He'd conquered all of Greece except for Sparta and Laconia. And he said, if we defeat you in battle, we will kill all the men, we'll take all the women as slaves, If we do this, we're going to burn your city, we're going to, sow salt in the soil. And of course, Sparta said, one word, 2 letters in response. If. And I just imagine Philip reading this, going, give me the letter. What did the Spartan say? If. Fuck them. Let's go to India. I don't want, what am I going to conquer the Spartans for? For them to break my balls? Let's go conquer somebody rich that's actually worth conquering. And it's funny because that, what's the point of conquering these people when they got nothing worth anything to an invader, right? The Turks said the same thing. They're like, money. What am I going to do with money there? Έχουνε πέτρες, τι άλλο. Δεν έχουνε νερό, δεν έχουνε δέντρα εκεί, δεν έχουνε τίποτα. Why would I waste lives to go and get this thing? Άσε μας, ρε. But I understand that, Thessaloniki, in Macedonia, the state, obviously, they want to solidify their identity. Identity politics and identity in this part of the world, in the Eastern Mediterranean, in the Balkans, is more important to people than their own individual success and their own individual identity, which is crazy, which is what I think I'm learning, right? As an Australian coming from an American-dominated culture, all that matters is who you are as an individual and what you do. That's it. It's an individualist culture. But the Balkans, the first question isn't, oh, what do you do for work? The first question is, where are you from? Where are you from? Or you're Greek, or you look Pakistani. Or why do you look Pakistani? Oh, because you do, they want to know who you came from. What's your story? How'd you end up here? They want to know all the connections, or your mum dated, but your dad's all right. They don't care about what you've done with your life. They care about where you come from, which is, to be honest, not how I, evaluate people's worth. But apparently it is. I mean, I'll make a reel about this, put it on Instagram and TikTok, and watch people say, he's an Arvanite, he's an Albanian, you look Turkish, blah, blah, blah. Malaga, I don't know. I just think it's crazy for people to care so much about something that people have no control over. But that's a very American mentality I have. But anyway, yeah. Alexander the Great theme park is wild. That's crazy. Imagine like a Christopher Columbus theme park. I mean, love Alexander the Great, dope Greek, great general, great strategist, but also, conqueror. I love Greece for that. Anyway, let's go to the next topic. I mean, who knows if that thing will actually get built. Oh yeah, so I wanted to talk a bit about my time in Larnaca. Larnaca is a city, the third biggest city in Cyprus. It's where the airport is. I lived there from 2021 till like now, start of last year. And I needed to move somewhere because I left Australia in 2018 or 19, and I never went back. But I was still getting taxed there with my business, and I have an online business. So why am I paying tax to one of the highest taxed countries in the world? I'm like, that doesn't make sense. So after traveling the world for 18, 19, 20, 21, 4 years, I was like, I should set up my tax somewhere, settle down a bit, little at least, so that I can settle, like just have a bit of a base. And so I was looking at all my options. Monaco was really a pipe dream. You need to make real money to live in Monaco, not just stupid internet money. And then I looked at Cyprus. I'm like, wait a second. I looked at all the numbers. I'm like, super Greek. So it'd be very comfortable to live there. Won't be, there will be no assimilation process for me. I can just settle right in. Ftino, like for someone to live who's a broke entrepreneur every other week, pretty good. And well connected, like 90 minutes from Athens. If I wanted to go the other direction, I could go that direction. And just quiet. And like when I got to Cyprus, when I met with my accountant, who ended up scamming me basically and not doing my accounting, and I had to pay heaps of fees, but now I have a really good accountant and attorney. Anyway, he did give me a good, I'm like, I want to go to Paphos because I was like, this looks the best on Google Images, basically on Google Maps. Because terrible idea, fuck that, Larnaca. I was like, all right. Limassol is like crazy expensive. It's like a half of Moscow, half of Dubai, half of Greece, three halves. Recipe, mixed cocktail city. It's really crazy and expensive. And Lefkosia, I'm going to be in a Greek island, but not be by the ocean. But then I thought, fuck that. So I was like, Larnaca looks pretty good. I got a place near the airport, near the city, quiet area. I really lucked out. Like some stuff in my life, I'm very unlucky, to be fair. But some stuff, my decisions, in other words, are really good. And man, I can't tell you how much I love Larnaca and my time in Larnaca. Made lifelong friends, Alex, Thano, Sava, Anakru, Claudia, Andrea, Daniel, like a bunch of friends that are like lifelong friends now. That feel like family. Gael, the fucking man. I met all these people in Larnaca, and it's the third biggest city of the island or the country, but it has a quiet feel without feeling like you're in the Horio, in a village, and quick access to the airport. I lived like 2 minutes walk from the beach, so like the connection was, the access was lit. I would wake up every morning in an affordable apartment. I paid 400 euros rent for like I don't know, what would you call it? Probably like 50 square meter apartment with a balcony on the third floor. I paid 400 euro rent for all of 21, 22, 23. And I think then they were like, all right, let's pay 40 euro more. So I like very affordably there. And anytime I would, I live in these kind of seasons of expansion and contraction. Like I have like a big, let's attack in business, let's attack in content, whatever it might be. And then I'll, either invest the money and then have very little money to spend, or I'll just go broke because I'm on Malaga. And Cyprus was always there for me to go and recoup, retreat and recover. I remember in 2021, I'm like, let me go set up Cyprus. I'll do 60 days there, set my company up, blah, blah, blah. Then I'm going back to Barcelona because I'm going to get bored. And then I pretty much burnt the hell out in Barcelona. Went back to Cyprus in winter, which is, there's not much of a winter in Cyprus, but for 2 months it's windy and rainy and it's depressing, whatever. And I was there for that, but I hung out with my friends, Alex and the Kiritsis crew. And you know what? Some of the best times of my life. Sure, I was depressed, sure, I was a bit lonely, but I'm like, you know what? I had met up with the boys a few times. I got work done. I got shit done. And like, has to be said, it's the best healthcare system I've ever encountered in the world. In Australia, I never even touched the healthcare system because I knew it cost money. no matter what you do. Like, it's going to cost some money. And I was broke. Greece is a headache, even though healthcare is technically free. Cyprus and Larnaca, I think maybe that's just the benefit of a smaller village, a smaller town, 70,000 people. If I wanted a doctor, I went straight to the doctor. I didn't even call my airline, I'm coming. They're like, all right, come in. And maybe I waited 5 minutes. Went straight into a general practitioner. I go, I've got this with my head. It's too big. How do I fix it? They go, blah, blah, blah. Go to this doctor, go to that doctor. I went straight there. I had to have a hernia surgery. I went straight to it. Within 2 weeks, I had the hernia surgery. Good doctors that got the job done. Cost me like literally $0. Cost me nothing. If I needed medicine, I went to the GP, gave me a prescription, went straight to the pharmacist. I got the thing, bam, done. When I had to have a septoplasty to fix my broken nose because I could never breathe out of it, bam, got it done. Like, really good doctors. So Larnaca is always a safe place for me. And not to mention, like, mentally, Larnaca was this place where, sure, I could be at peace and be a little bit bored, which is good for creativity. I could walk to the lake. You see here, I could run, flat city. I could run around. I practice from all my marathons and my stuff there. I love it. I love it. I could go for a swim every day. The people were lovely. Honestly, I can't tell you how much I love Larnaca. As like a small town, I love it. Love it. I'm actually sad that I don't get to, live there anymore, but, you got to move on. But I always compared Larnaca, which is, not a rich town. It's not like some, it's not Dubai, but they got their shit right. Like the council, they have their problems. Like they can't get the marina fixed or, invested in. They keep, fucking around. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'll make a video about it. But like, for people who live in Larnaca, it's quite easy to live there. Like the promenade, the seafront is nicely done. Sure, there's some malakias, but it's like nicely done. If you wanted to, just walk around the city, you can walk around without much issue. If you wanted to go for a swim, you can go there. Everything's reasonably nicely done. And I compare it not to the West, which is way nicer, in just how they organize the infrastructure, but to Greece. I mean, if you go to Chania, which I stayed there for a minute, and you try and walk from one side of the seafront to the other side, half of the pedestrian access is broken. You're going to get hit by 42 cars. There's Homa, there's Malakias. It's disgusting, and it's one of the most popular tourist destinations in Greece. Larnaca, which no one knows of, I didn't even know it existed before I went there, they have it all sorted. How can a city that obviously gets more budget have worse infrastructure just for pedestrians? It's really crazy, and that's mental to me. I mean, Larnaca, I compare like the council, because that's what we're really talking about. The council of Larnaca has this shit together more than Chania for sure. But like I look at Nea Smyrni and Kalithea, which individually, Nea Smyrni here in Athens has like 40 to 50,000 people, and Kalithea has like 70,000 people. There is an insane number of people. I'm like obsessed with Kalithea. That's where I lived for 6 months last year. But like, it is one of the densest suburbs in Europe. I think the second densest suburb in Europe, or third densest suburb in Europe. And it has a population of 97,000. They have basically 100,000 people. It is the second most densely populated municipality in Greece and one of the most densely populated cities in the world. They have 20,000 people per square kilometer. Because if you look at Kalithea, there's like one or two very small parks. There's a Stavros Niarchos Center, and that's it. Kalithea is mental, and the access and the population hasn't really. It's declined from a peak of 117,000 in 1981, and it's consistently going down. But it's a mental suburb because there's just you can't breathe in that suburb. It's really crazy, and the infrastructure is atrocious. Just this one main road. Everyone's triple parking, double parking. It's definitely not pedestrian friendly. There's barely any parks, there's abandoned houses. And of course the seafront, let's not forget, is mountains of dirt. Mountains of dirt. The Falaron Bay is mountains of dirt. It's abandoned. So pretty atrocious. All in all, they just compare these councils. How can councils, obviously it's corruption, malakias, and lack of funding with the thing, but, you know, Cyprus had the same thing. Larnaca had, you know, great depression of Cyprus as well, you know. So it's kind of crazy just to compare how a council and management, it isn't about what you do, it's about how you do it. Larnaca has their shit together. Like, it's not spectacular, but for a Greek city, small city, with basically the same population as Kalithea, it is like much more enjoyable for the people who live there to live there. But anyway, another topic, news is changing. I made this note a few weeks ago, and I've seen it, right? News and how we consume media is changing. I mean, everyone's always saying that, and it's always true, because media is always changing. But I'm like, obviously, the only stuff that works for me is short form, like Instagram, TikTok, blah, blah, blah. YouTube, you know, I might make a few videos about business stuff, like specific to online businesses, and it gets views and it makes me money, which is great. But at the end of the day, no, I'm never getting like more than 5,000 views or 10,000 views like I do on TikTok and Instagram. What I'm seeing on Instagram and TikTok is that there is a niche of Instagram news reporters. Like, there's no other word for it. Guys like Dylan Page, guys like Alex Barnacote, like straight up, they're just news reporters for Instagram and TikTok, and they're doing well. And they also publish on Postoles, X, TikTok, Twitter, whatever you call it, right? And they're doing very well. Like, I mean, they definitely inspired me to do what I'm doing. So yeah, like, news is changing. People, and I did for a long time, get their news from memes and Instagram and TikTok more than they do definitely from a physical Efemerida, but even from like Efemerida websites, like, you know, your Wall Street journals and so on. People watch Instagram and TikTok for the news, not newspapers and magazines that are huge institutions. So like, one creator like Dylan Page can report the news more effectively, which is, you know, the goal. Accurately is a different story than CNN, than your big things. And the question I ask is, where's that going to head, and how can I position myself to profit from that? You know, I just think individuals like newscasters, like your Tucker Carlsons and your the guy with the white hair with the glasses in America, like these TV personalities. I mean, Hagseth, the defense secretary in America, one of the most powerful people in the world, was a news reporter for Fox. So like, the jump from entertainment news reporting to politics is there. I mean, the number one, the most voted for EU politician from Greece was a news reporter. Another one was a meteorologist. So like, if that's not clear, the profit that you can have from it, you know, let alone money, like political profit, let's say. So yeah, I mean, I've been talking with some of the news companies here in Greece about doing news in in English for Greek news, like I have been doing for myself now. And they're like, yeah, you know, they're pretty ambivalent, which is just makes me want to do it more and then reject their offers when the time comes. So yeah, you know, things are changing in news, and I'm going to see what I can do to profit from that. Okay, I got a cool story for you. Speaking of mainstream media bullshitting, so in 2022, I'd gotten back on my feet after burning out and being broke, and I started doing I did one university talk just in Larnaca, at the American University of Cyprus, because it was nearby. I had a conversation with a few people. They're like, "Go do this." I'm like, "Sure." Unpaid, of course, just to talk about entrepreneurship in the digital age, basically. And it went really well. And then they recommended me to other universities in Cyprus, and they said, "We'd love to have you." I'm like, "Fantastic! I'd love to. You know, talk to young people about entrepreneurship. Why not?" So I did a bunch of universities in Cyprus, and then they referred me to do ones in universities in Greece and Bulgaria and Czechia and Poland and Spain. And for me, you know, to talk entrepreneurship is, you know, I do it for free. I mean, I did do it for free. But anyway, so I'm in Thessaloniki at the end of 2022. And ERT3, Epsilon Rho Taf is the Greek government news channel, TV news channel. And they have ERT1, ERT2, ERT3, which is, you know, the national network, the local network for like certain regions in Greece, and ERT3 is the Macedonia kind of region in Greece where they do daytime TV or whatever. And they said, we'd love to interview you. I'm like, fuck yeah, camera. Bring it on. So they interview me. And the year before I got 2 years before I got the Forbes 30 under 30, this thing here. And they're like, you know, we'd love to, you know, interview. I'm like, okay, go for it. And one of the first questions the news reporter asked was, how much money do you have? I go, what? I go, I'm here to talk about entrepreneurship for young people, not how rich I am. She's like, okay, but you're a millionaire, right? I'm like, I'm not answering that question. She's like, you're a millionaire, right? I'm like, are you a millionaire? She's like, you're being interviewed. I'm like, anyway, let's talk entrepreneurship. So she asked a few questions about entrepreneurship and we moved on. And like an hour interview was cut down to like 3 minutes. And then 2-3 weeks ago, I remember I was here in Athens, living in Victoria with my cousin, which is, you know, the hood. And I went to the cafeteria that I go to every day, and the barista girl was like, with her phone, she's like, is this you? I was like, shit. It said, in Greek millionaire. Elinas Ekatimiryuchos. I never said I was a millionaire. What the fuck? She just put that there, and I was like, I hope this doesn't get any views like most videos. It got 250,000 views or something. And then my friends roasted me for being like, Malaka, you're not a millionaire. I'm like, I know, I never said I was. What the fuck? And a few people around the city for like a couple of weeks were like, I saw you on TV. I'm like, yeah. They're like, you're a millionaire, huh? How would you leave a bigger tip? I'm like, Malaga, okay. Like, she asked me if I was a millionaire. I said, not answering that. And she put it in anyway. But it made it for a good story. But yeah, like, that's the media, right? And you only realize how much of a scam the media is when you go through the process and you get some news about you or what you're doing. Like Forbes, right? Forbes Greece and Forbes in general, Forbes 30 under 30, in my opinion, is a scam. Like, I got the Forbes 30 under 30. Here's the little article they did in Greece. But like, when you look at the business plan and the business strategy of Forbes, it's to give people who have a network, who have a following, awards, so that they can push their efemerida, so that they can push their website and increase their traffic. It's not because they think, you know, you've done a good job, here's, you know, we want to pat you on the back. It's not for that. Like, you're doing something that other people are watching and we want to put our logo on it, right? So it's a bit of like a pyramid scheme of social proof, right? And it sucks, you know, as an entrepreneur, you want an award for your work. But someone said this, a psychologist said this, and I can't believe how true it is. The price of freedom is recognition. Financial freedom, that is. So like, to be an entrepreneur, I gave up going to university. I gave up, you know, any recognition from parents, from family, from teachers, from university, from women, from my social circle, from everybody. Because you don't get recognition as an entrepreneur, but you get financial freedom, right? And Forbes is this one thing that kind of breaks that rule. It's like, you do get recognition for your entrepreneurial work. And you look up to this, you know, this award, you're like, yes, you know, this is a final recognition of my work outside of just surviving and paying rent. And then you realize, like, every major scam artist in entrepreneurship in America has been on the Forbes 30 under 30. Like, it's a meme now. If you get the Forbes under 30 in America, or pretty much anywhere around the world, you're going to end up being a malaka and going to prison. It's crazy and it sucks. I mean, it's just one of those things. The reality is there is no award for entrepreneurship. It's the fact that you got to pay your rent and have your freedom. So yeah, I'm definitely against. I mean, I've always said this. I'm against mainstream media, but it's so true. Like, they just want to get clicks on their website and sell ad space. So whether they're telling the truth and whether they're putting the reputation of the people they're talking about on the line, they don't give a shit. But yeah, I mentioned before, like, the ups and downs of like expansion and contraction of life, and I think it's kind of it's an interesting topic. Like, I always take kind of a military mentality to life and entrepreneurship, because I always see entrepreneurship as this kind of guerrilla warfare approach to success, financial success, and I always see, just like exclusively for Europe, but also for the rest of the world, just different times of the year. Winter is a time where no one fights. You don't fight in winter. I mean, pretty much only World War I and World War II, up until that time, did people actually fight in winter. And that's a lie. Napoleon fought in winter. And Frederick the Great even earlier. But generally speaking, from like the 1700s and before that, you don't fight in winter because the ground is soggy, it gets muddy, logistics is hard, it's cold, it's rainy, it's shitty, so you just waited for summer. Like, we hate each other, we're at war, but let's just wait till winter so we can, do our best fighting. Even with the gym, you do your winter bulk and then you do your summer shred, And I've definitely taken that approach. I mean, holy shit, is it better to be living in Europe because the seasons align with culture. But in Australia, it's like summer is the start and end of the year, and winter is the middle of the year, which just feels weird, looking back. But yeah, way better to be in the Northern Hemisphere. Holy shit. Culturally, I guess. But yeah, I enjoy the ups and downs of the seasons, and I see the same for entrepreneurship. Like, my winters, like now it's April, we're coming out of winter. Well, it's spring, but the winter season. And I always, this is the spring offensive. This is when, military campaigns started. And that's how I feel. It's like time to get more aggressive with my business, with my entrepreneurship, with my content, with my health. This is the time to, let's get everything moving, and time to start losing weight. And on the dot, every single year, I put on, 10 kilos, 15 kilos during winter, and then it's just about shredding down for summer. I wish it wasn't such a drastic, increase and decrease, but, I have no chill. But I do like, that it does give you respite and rest. And usually I would go to Cyprus during this time period, like winter, to just recover mentally, physically. Like, last year was such a big year for me. Mental and physical health was like, my physical health was the best it's ever been. I did an Ironman 70.3, I ran across the country, I did a ton of races, but that all started with the spring offensive. Like, during winter, I was like 90 kilos again. And then in Q1, I did a bunch of little races, like 10, 20 Ks in Cyprus, and eventually got to I did a trifecta. The Spartan races, they have there's a 5, 10, and 21K. I did all of them, which was the goal. And yeah, I achieved every physical, thing I wanted to do, a goal I wanted to do last year. But mentally, and part of that is mentally being ready to be disciplined and achieve those things. But yeah, I didn't think I was burnt out during the time, after I walked across the country. But now, what is it? I finished in December, January, February, March, April. 4 months later, just now recovering. I still have a pretty fucked up immune system. My stomach is still fucked up. My ankle still clicks and clacks like a maraca. Maraca? What is a maraca? Am I saying it right? Or am I saying it Australian? Maraca. I'm maraca. Yeah, so I'm still recovering. mentally, I've come out of this like stoop, because even mentally I was just like exhausted. But now it's, again, it's the expansion phase. I've rested. Now it's time to expand again, to do more content, to do more business, to do more, with more and different health goals. So like, again, at the start of every year, I do a couple of small races. So I have like on the 26th of April, I'm doing a aquathlon, weird name, which is a swim and a run, a 750-meter swim. It's like a 20-minute swim. And then a 5K run, trail. Nice, fun, quick Athens. And then actually the next day is a half marathon, quick, easy. Then another half marathon in May in Epidavros. Anytime there's a race at an ancient site, that for me is like, I have to do it. How often do you get to do two things that you nerd out about in your life and they come together? Running through an ancient site, that's crazy to me. So I'm doing Epidavros, and then another 2K swim in Vouliagmeni in June. So getting back into the swing of things is part of that ups and down process, the seasons of life, and it just. But I also think, again, it's different challenges this year. I'm not doing any long distance endurance shit anymore. Short, sweet, fast races. Honestly, just health for me is important this year. Like getting off just bad habits. I always think of like investing in your health. How much money do you invest in supplements and these shoes and that shoe and this shirt and that hat? And that's actively investing in something. You have to actually put money into that. If you just didn't smoke cigarettes, not to mention the money you'd save, but that doesn't cost you anything, it actually saves you money. And if you just invested in not smoking, whether it's cigarettes, whether it's IQOS, whether it's vaping, the profit, health-wise, the health profit would be huge over 10, 20, 30, 40 years. You live in 5, 10 years longer. And I always think to myself, like, this isn't one of those hard habits where you have to get up and put your shoes on and run 10K and push yourself to do something. Just don't do something. Just don't eat garbage food. Just don't smoke that cigarette, whatever, right? It's like, be lazy. Procrastinate smoking. You want a cigarette? Well, that takes effort to get a cigarette, ask for a cigarette, buy a cigarette. Be lazy. Procrastinate that for tomorrow. So yeah, I'm taking a different approach this year. Obviously, like I said, I've moved a bit more permanently to Greece. And the seasons of life, I'll leave you with this last note. I posted on my Instagrams about what I should do for like this year's, every year I want to do like a philanthropic event to raise money for a cause I care about. And I posted like a few options, right? And for people to vote what would be the best idea. Let me see if I saved it. I didn't save it. Fuck. Oh wait, no, I made it real. That's what it was. So my options that I gave were swim to Kythera from Elafronisia, Peloponneso. 15% of the votes went there. Stand still in Athens for a stream for 24 hours, 6%. So plant 1 million trees, got 19%, which is, I realize that's a bit unrealistic. That's a lot of trees. And overthrow the government got the most votes. But I think that's going to be a bit more challenging. Another one I was thinking, because, look, men's mental health no one gives a shit about. Let's be honest. Anywhere in the world, it's like the least important type of mental health. Now, generally speaking, Greece's reported mental health issues are actually some of the issues, let's call it, is some of the lowest in the EU, which is good, but there are still 500 suicides a year in Greece, which is one too many, if you ask me. And if I look at the data, so I'm looking at the data here, I can link it if you'd like, ask for the link. 2022, 91 women killed themselves, committed suicide in 2022, and 425 men killed themselves in 2022, which is ridiculous. You know, luckily, looking from the data, you know, it's obvious to see that suicide rates increased during the crisis. They're on a decline for women, but for men, they are just increasingly getting worse ever since the data has been reported, basically. There was a spike during the crisis, but women's suicide generally is on a downward trend in Greece. Men's suicide rates and self-harm rates are only increasing. And look, I've had my battles. I've been very honest about that. With mental health. And I never asked for help, to be honest, with that, up until you know, a lot of the damage was done already, and there really wasn't the support networks that I needed, but they did exist. Like I think it's the Black Dog Foundation is a foundation institute, Black Dog Institute, in Australia for better mental health. Here you go. Yeah, about mental health. So in Australia, of course, they know what they're doing. They've got their shit together, unlike us here in Greece. And you know, it's one thing to, you know, just it's hard for people to ask for help, especially as Greeks, because Greek men, we have a macho society, and getting a therapist in Greece is like, as a man, is like, well, like, what? Come on, bro. That's not very masculine. Greeks wouldn't say it like that, but I think you know how they'd say it. But we don't want to get cancelled just yet. So anyway, my point is, with all this, I Googled, you know, mental health hotline, you know, for Greece. Doesn't exist. It really doesn't exist. Men accounted for the majority of suicides, making up 86% of cases. Yeah, makes me sad. And look, my business stuff and what I do, I know is just like, obviously I'm trying to survive and, you know, make ends meet, and, you know, see if I can make some profit on top of that, and, you know, have some stability for myself and the people I care about in my immediate network. That's great. But outside of that, if I can help people in my, you know, you take care of yourself, you take care of your family, you take care of your friends, and then you take care of the people who you think are that, you know, third or fourth layer of priority. And for me, that's Greece and Greeks. And I think, you know, perhaps a mental health organization for young men, which seem to be the predominant issue of, you know, mental health, might be the road to go. Now, I don't see any real reason not to open that up to women. It's still an issue. But judging by the data, it's definitely a bigger issue for young men in Greece, making up 86% of the suicide and self-harm rate. So yeah, maybe I'll do some of that. I mean, I just don't know legally how to set up a foundation or how to operate that. Honestly, my great partner in the March Across Greece was the Greek America Foundation. And so maybe, you know, maybe I can set something up with the Greek America Foundation to, yeah, support, you know, men and women's mental health in Greece, young people's mental health in Greece, because it just doesn't exist here. It just does not exist. And maybe, you know, what that looks like, I honestly don't know. But yeah, you know, maybe I should be doing that, since it's something that I have experience with and I care about. Let me know what you think. But that's all for this week's podcast. I know I've been away for a couple of weeks, so it's kind of a lie that I'm doing this weekly. But that's that. Podcast episode 20, you know. We're really doing this thing. I'm going for a little trip around the Peloponnese with a friend. Seeing a bunch of sites I've seen when I was a kid, a bunch of sites I haven't seen, and really, you know, my whole move to Greece was to explore Greece more. So I'm really happy I get to be doing this. There'll be a bunch of content about it. So yeah, we're getting back into the mood of things, the swing of things, and I'm really happy about it. I've got my place set up. I'm setting up my office, my narcissist dome of hedonism here. I've got my light set up, my desk set up, my achievement set up. I want to put like a big logo here, maybe like the podcast and a neon sign, like a Joe Rogan-esque Malakia, whatever it might be. But everything's coming together. See. And yeah, so interesting times. I'll try and be more consistent with the podcast, and I'll see you on the next episode. Ciao.